Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Princess, SoundCloud, SoundClick, G-Shock, uh, Instagram, the gram. I'll be on the gram. I'll be on. Anyway, Aquarius, what's happening? Uh, the boy who got eaten by the alligator, allegedly. 4 to 7 foot alligator. There's a big difference between 4 to 7 feet. You know what I'm saying? You take a 4 foot man and you take a 7 foot man. That's a huge. You know what I'm saying? Look. Okay. Reportedly and purportedly, proportional wise, a alligator, its mouth is 1/3 of its body. So, you know, 30-foot alligator, 10-foot mouth. But of course, the gator wasn't that big, So 4 to 7 feet, it's a huge mouth difference. But yeah, I guess your mouth doesn't have to be that big to snatch a 2-year-old child. So, but look at the proportion of a 2-year-old child. Maybe 2 feet, maybe 2, 3 feet. I don't know. However, it just does make a difference when it comes to the dynamics. Nonetheless, I'm, not an animal trainer or a zoologist, or, animalologist or any ologist. I'm just a guy on the internet. And as so, I just don't take everything I read for verbatim and for the way they deliver it to me. I always have some skepticism because I wasn't there. And I always look at who is to gain from this. And it's a sad story. I'm not saying that it's not true. What I'm saying is, for one, there is a huge problem in Florida when it comes to reptiles. You have caiman crocs and all that other stuff. The largest, actually, alligators are saltwater alligators. Uh, Largest one reported to be in captivity was 27 feet. They just caught I don't know, it was Guatemala or something. They just caught a huge gator that was 20 feet, and they captured it because it was eating people. It was eating adults. And it also, when they caught it, there was another alligator that was even larger than itself there, but they got the one that was eating people. And that's what they do. If there's an animal, just like the gorilla, when the gorilla was dragging around the boy, they killed the gorilla because they don't want the gorilla to look at humans as the enemy and get used to that. And it's a safety issue for the people who go in and out of those cages, and things along that line. They don't want them to get into it's kind of like Pavlov's dog. If you ring the bell and the dog starts to saliva, and then you feed the dog, eventually all you have to do is ring the bell and the dog will start to saliva because it thinks it's going to get fed. This is the way we picture all animals, but animals are smarter than what we think. They're very smart. Look at Steve Irwin, when he jumped inside the water after a stingray. You know, that stingray, you know what I'm saying? That stingray hit Steve Irwin once in the heart. Now, some may say it's a lucky shot, but I would say, who is studying who? The more you get close to animals, the closer the animals get to you. It's just simple math. And I believe the more we study them, the more they're studying us. Hell, they could be smarter than us. They're not trying to blow up the whole damn world like we are. They have an ecosystem that doesn't affect us, but we affect it. Uh, they own more of the planet than we do. 1/3 of the planet is, well, I mean, 3/3 of the planet is covered by water. They can survive longer than we can. You look at the prime example of a coelacanth and or an alligator. An alligator is just pretty much a dinosaur in today's world, you know. So there's just a lot about animals we don't know. And then you know, when you come to this story, you know, the boy, you know, they also had another little toddler they showed today who used to play in that same area. And the mother's like, nah, I'm not gonna let my kid play there anymore. And I'm like, okay, I feel you on that. You know, because I don't think I would let my, you know, toddler, you know, if I had a shorty, I wouldn't let him or her go back out there either. But then there's the fear of fear. Then there's, well, this could happen at any time to anyone, but where are we safe? Because alligators, listen, you know the story about the alligator dude, and he had the, this is in another country too. Basically, what he did was he found an alligator who was shot in the eye, and he nursed back the alligator. And when he nursed the alligator back, he gave it medicine and he fed the alligator. And basically, he would do this constantly, and he had a little spot that he would go to that he hid the alligator away from people. And he would spend night after night there. As a matter of fact, he spent so much time with the alligator that his first wife left him because he was like, the alligator is like, you know, my brother. So he didn't look at the alligator as a pet. He didn't look at it as a threat. He looked at the alligator as a living being in a very respectful way, just like you look at another human being. And he nursed the alligator back to health. And after he did this, the alligator uh, would show up on his front porch, followed him home. He lived miles from there. The alligator would find his way to this man's house and would sit at his porch. And he came out one day and the alligator was sitting there. Now, this was a 17-foot croc. Or, well, the difference between crocodiles and alligators. But this was a 17-foot gator. And the difference is their nose. If you look at caiman crocs, you know, they're narrower. You look at saltwater, you know, caiman crocs, saltwater crocs. I think their nose is more narrower than actually gators. So this kid was bitten by a gator, but nonetheless, this guy, it was an alligator that, so it was the same type of creature that this boy was eaten by. And basically what he did was he nursed, when he nursed it back to health, it made its way back to his house, and it would just sit outside the house. Now he had kids, he remarried, and he came out, he saw the gator there, and the gator just looked at him like, what, like, what's up, what's good, what we doing today? The gator never attacked a man not once. Gator, he grew to be a huge colossal size, and this guy would go in the water and play with it. Then, you know, he would have his little expeditions where he would go and play with the alligator, and he knew when the alligator, he knew the alligator's temperaments. He knew when the alligator didn't want to play. He respected it. He knew when, I mean, he would ask, he wouldn't tell the alligator to do something. He would ask the alligator to do stuff, you know, turn left, turn right. He was basically showing the unity between the mind of the alligator and the mind of a human. And that we are not superior to these creatures. We're just different. And we see time and time again where in the news we call a creature a beast. This beast, heck, they used to call black people beasts. They used to call Indians savages. You know, these savages, you know, these beasts. You know, and come to find out that everybody has their own intellect. Just like these creatures, just like these alligators. So now, of course, they're going on a witch hunt. They caught about 5 gators, and they're saying they might have caught the right one. And they'll probably put it down. They'll say they're going to remove it, but if it ain't a human, they're going to put it down. But it's kind of it's kind of who was here first. Were we here before the gator, or was the gator here before us? Who's stepping on whose land? Who's driving whose land out? So I sympathize with the family because there is a lost child. But I sympathize with animals as well, because we can't just do what we want and think there's not going to be any repercussions. See, those alligators naturally, they do what they do naturally. They hunt, they eat. But we know that they're just not instinctive creatures. They can be taught. And we, just like we can be taught, we can learn to live in an atmosphere where this just doesn't happen. So it's just what I think. It's your boy Tom 202. Wow.